welcome to DigiLead TV. I'm Ken Walls, the CEO and founder of Client Solution Innovations. Really appreciate you guys being here. Today we're going to talk about, I really thought a lot about, over the years I've had, I don't know, hundreds, maybe thousands of business owners and entrepreneurs that have contacted me, either in person, I've met with them, or over the phone. And one of the things that seems to be a very common thread that runs among business owners is they lose sight. They lose sight of what it was that they originally started in their business, why they got into it. And I've been there. You get into business, you're excited, you start, grinding it out, you start making things happen, and then all the little things start piling up. The little things start you make little mistakes, or you have a customer that's not happy, or things don't go exactly the way you planned, and things happen. And then at the end of 5 years or 8 years or 10 years or whatever, you're like, man, why am I even doing this? So today I thought, because I have to bring a lot of people back to that, the reality of why they're doing what they're doing. So today we decided to name this episode Inspirational Reboot. And one of the things that I've learned from Grant Cardone that's been possibly one of the most valuable things I've ever learned from anyone is that you never go past a word if you cannot say, this is exactly what this word means, and it's the dictionary version of the word, then you should probably stop and look it up. And that's proven to be very, very valuable. And again, today, we had a collaborative meeting, and we decided, okay, we're going to come up with the name, the show's name this week. We're going to come up with what the topic's going to be. And when I said inspiration, we went through, and then my assistant said, hey, how about reboot, like rebooting everything? And it was perfect. So inspiration, and my assistant is Amber, by the way. Inspiration, I looked up the word inspiration, and the dictionary definition of the word inspiration is the process of being mentally stimulated, especially to do something creative. I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. That's right in line with what we do as a company, website development and SEO and all that stuff. And then reboot, right? The word reboot, most definitions have something to do with a computer, but restart or revive, a process or sequence, especially a series of films or television programs, give fresh impetus to. So, in inspiration, the process of being mentally stimulated when it comes to being creative. So many people have lost their vision, their why, the reason that they got into business in the first place. There are millions and millions of businesses across the United States, and I don't know, probably billions throughout the world. But when you look at, why does somebody go start a business? Why? And I think about, I've had people ask me that. In fact, I recently had somebody for a Huffington Post interview that asked me, why did you start the business? Why didn't you just go get a job with somebody? And, the more I think about that, the harder it is for me to answer. I just knew I had this deep desire to have a profound impact in the world and help as many people possible that I can help. And I thought that's only going to happen by me owning my own business, me making a big splash and bring on a team and help just really change the world in a lot of ways. So, and to reboot, restart, or revive your company. So many companies come to us and they're just, their website is old, it's outdated, they don't know what to do. They've hired 5 other companies or maybe 1 other company, and they didn't produce what they said they were going to produce. They didn't do what they said they were going to do. They hired an SEO firm that promised them all this stuff and never got them results. And so, they come to us and they're just down. They're down and they're negative about it. And, one of the things that I love the most, it's like doing this show, okay? What I love about doing this show is I get to create. I get to start creating stuff. I get to be involved in creating and helping people. And I believe that everybody on this planet was born to create. We're all here to create. I mean, and I'm not talking about just in the having babies sense. I'm talking about we're here to create, to make the world a better place, to continue to expand and create greatness in our lives. And in today's marketing world, all of the creating that you can do, all of the marketing that you can do, everything that you do to market your business in one way or another needs to tie back to your website, needs to tie back to your social media. So you're creating, constantly creating, you're constantly upgrading, you're constantly, doing better than you did the day before. And that to me is where true inspiration, true creativity, all of that really starts coming together. So, I always stop and ask a business owner some questions at the beginning. And what I ask them is I say, look, when you started your business, what was your goal? What was your goal? Did you even have a goal? Whether you're a guy mowing yards or doing landscaping or whatever in South Florida, or you're a stay-at-home mom with a business that you're in a multi-level MLM environment or whatever it is, what is the reason? What's the goal? So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. All right, so we were talking about goals, and when you first started your business, or maybe you're just now getting started, or you're thinking about starting. Look, when I started this company, if you've seen any of the previous episodes, you know that I literally had no plan. I had a vision, I had a dream, I had I had a lot of hope that I was going to be able to turn it into something someday, and I had $20, and I didn't even know, I knew what goals were, but I didn't have any. My goal was to try to help people, try to do websites, try to pay my bills and take care of responsibilities, and along the way try to grow my company into something. And it wasn't until about, I'd say, a year and a half ago when I got hooked up with Grant Cardone and Cardone University, Sales Training University, and some of the other things that I really started focusing on some of that stuff. But if I back up to about 3 years ago, I was like, 90% of the businesses out there, I was literally living deal to deal to deal and trying to grow and figure out all the tricks and how to keep everything going. And I was suffering terribly bad. Excuse me, and I know why today. It's because of the goals, the lack of goals, the lack of focus, the lack of direction. And so a good friend of mine who is an attorney calls me up one day. It's a Friday, and he says, "Hey, dude, how you doing?" I said, "Oh, I'm all right, man. What are you doing?" He's like, "Bro, you don't sound all right." And I said, "Well, I'm broke. I'm really broke." And I had been in business for 4 or 5 years at that point, and I said, I'm just tired of the struggle, man. And he's like, "Well, why don't we go have dinner?" And I said, "What part of I'm broke did you miss?" "I'm broke." And he goes, I'll buy, right? And so we went and we had dinner that night, and he's like, extracting from me all of my whining and my problems and my worries. And he said, "Dude, let me ask you a question." I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "When are you going to pull your head out of your ass?" I'm like, wow, man, what's that mean? You know? And he's like, dude, you've got to set some goals. You got to set some targets. You got to figure out what you're going to do and help people on a monthly basis, a recurring basis. And you know, and he actually loaned me $100 so I could go feed my kids that weekend. It was really bad. We were at the place where my wife was borrowing toilet paper from her mom. I mean, and food, and you know, and it's like we would have those conversations like, should we stay in business? Should we go get jobs? Should we, you know? And if you're in business now, or you plan on starting a business or in the future, you're going to have those conversations either with your significant other or in your head. It's going to happen. And you know, today, thank God that I didn't give up. Thank God I didn't just throw in the towel, because I went home that weekend and I started you know, really thinking about the way I wanted things to be. I started really focusing. I had created this vision board, and I started looking at that closer, and I started really writing out what I wanted to accomplish. And I started seeing that happen almost immediately. So, you know, one of the first things that I do when I sit down with a business owner is I say, hey, what's the goal? What's your target? What is it you're trying to accomplish? What is it that you want this business to be? You know, if you say to me, if I were to meet you in person, or we have a conversation over the phone, and you have a business, and you say, look, I just want to have the best ad in the yellow pages that money can buy, I would literally walk away from you, because that is old school thinking. It does not work anymore. And we just got, I mean, I remember when the yellow pages was like that thick, filled with ads, and you know, now we just got a yellow pages in the other day. Some guy drops them off, and I mean, they're not even an inch thick. I mean, it's crazy. So nobody's using that anymore. In some cities, they've completely done away with the yellow pages. So, you know, the old school thinking does not work. You have to get creative. You have to stand out. And that's one of the things that we do here. And there's a lot of other web developers throughout the world that do a great job at helping you stand out. Really stand out, really make a difference for your company, really keep your customers, your current customers and your potential customers, keep their attention, engage them, and utilize all of the stuff that's available. You know, I will tell you that, again, I'll go back to Grant Cardone again. One of the things that he's really helped me discover is all of the excuses. All of the excuses that I've lived by my entire life, all of the lies. And I pulled something out of, I don't know if you were on the 10X Super Life webinar that he did, but he has an ebook that comes with that. And I printed this out, and I don't want to steal anything from Grant. I give him all the credit. But you know, this one page in here, the lies of society, the stuff that I was taught, the stuff you were taught, the stuff that people in your life were taught, the lies that were taught by our parents, by our preachers, our ministers, our priests, our teachers, just everybody around us that teaches us to believe this crap. And then we go start a business, and all of that's still there as we're trying to operate and function and be successful in business. But, you know, lies of society: don't stand out, be seen and not heard, don't ask me again. I heard that one. I heard that one a lot as a kid, because I was relentless, man. I was asking until I got what I wanted, but I always heard, don't ask me again. You know, you aren't special. Seek balance. It's the journey, not the destination. Be satisfied with what you have. High expectations lead to disappointment. You know, set reasonable goals. Those are crazy lies. It takes money to make money. It does not. It does not. It takes drive and determination to make money. I promise you that, because I started this with nothing. It takes drive and determination. Successful people are unhappy. I have been homeless, and I've been broke, and I've been very wealthy, and I can tell you right now, it's a lot better being wealthy than it is being broke. So, you know, be grateful for what you have. You can't have it all. You have to have balance in your life. under promise and over deliver. You know, those are some of the lies of society. So listen, when I come back, we're going to talk about some more of this, okay? Taking a break, be right back. Hey, welcome back. Welcome back. So we're talking about goals. We're talking about, you know, getting out of all of the lies of society, the stuff that I brought up from Grant Cardone and 10X Super Life webinar. And if you weren't on that webinar, this is not a Grant Cardone promotion here that I'm doing, but I'm telling you, if you weren't on that webinar, if you have not seen the 10X Super Life webinar, you have got to get it. It's unbelievable. But you know, the be grateful for what you have. You have more than most, and successful people are unhappy and all that stuff. And you know, it's that stuff that I was born and raised with, and my parents were raised with that, and that whole mentality of lack, focusing on what you don't have, or not becoming great, because you know, if you set your goals too high and you don't achieve them, then you're going to be sad and you're going to be depressed and all of that crap. And you know what? I agree with Grant 1,000% when he says, look, I'd rather set my goal at $10 million and hit a percentage of that and only maybe make $1 million or $2 million than to set my goals at $100,000 a year and only make $50,000. So, you know, for me, my goals have gone way up, way up. So when I sit down and I meet with somebody about their website and their marketing plan and all of that, the first thing I do is take a look at their goals. I look at where they were, and I would ask you, I'd say, look, when you started your business, did you have the mindset of, you know what, I'm going to go out and I'm going to start this landscaping or plumbing or hair salon business or whatever, and man, I really hope I can achieve average status with this business, right? No, nobody. I mean, if you're honest with yourself, if you're honest with me, if you're honest with whoever, you know, you start a business, anything that you do, you're like, I really want to blow this up. I really want to blow this up. I really want to make something of it. And you know, so people get into, they've done their own website on one of the self website tools like Wix or one of GoDaddy or one of these things out there. They do it themselves, or they hire some kid in their mom's basement to do a website, and it never turns into anything. Or they hire a professional company that they find out later is not professional, doesn't do a good job. And then they, you know, 5 years into it, they're like, well, I got this website, it's on page 8 of Google when you type in landscaping Miami, Florida, and you know, it's hopeless. I'm never going to get anywhere, so what's the point? And we all get there. We all, not just with websites and SEO and stuff, but with everything in life. Like, it just seems hopeless. So what I like to do is I do like to write down things that I'm grateful for, you know, and what my original goals were, my original thoughts, you know, what do I want this to become? And I write that stuff down. What did you want your business to be when you started it? And if it's not there, or it's not on the way there, then it's probably heading in the wrong direction. So that's why I said, you know, I want to name this Inspiration Reboot. I want this episode to be called Inspiration Reboot. You have to get, and if you remember, the definition of inspiration is the process of being mentally stimulated, especially to do something creative. So you've got to go, okay, what can I do to get really creative in my marketing and my goals? The first thing you want to do is write down on a piece of paper where you want your business to go. If you've been losing money for the last 6 months, if you've been making money for the last 6 months, it doesn't matter. Take away all of your limiting beliefs and say, okay, I really would like my business to do fill in the blank, $50 million this year or next year or whatever it is. Okay, write that down. Doesn't mean you're going to get there, but you might. You're never, you know, another guy, Zig Ziglar, said, you know, if you don't have a target, how are you going to hit it? You're just going to be a wandering generality. And I've seen that with so many businesses. They come in and, well, I gotta have a business plan. Here's your plan. Go. And I mean go hard, go big, go hard, go, go, go. That's the initial plan. You gotta take massive action. And then as you get going and you start feeling the market and you start seeing what's out there, and you start tweaking your sales pitch and you start tweaking how you can do a better job for your customers, then you adjust as you go. But you gotta go with massive action. So, the first thing that I ask, like I've said, what's your goal? What do you want this business to accomplish? What do you want your website to accomplish? Do you want it to just bring in, a place for people to land and get your phone number? Do you want it to be where they can find your address, your location? Maybe you have a restaurant. Do you want them to be able to see your entire menu with brilliant pictures that make their mouth water when they see it? Do you want, there's so much that you can accomplish on the internet today. Do you want video? Do you want videos of, we've done, as a company, we do a lot of video stuff like we're doing right now on this TV show, or on this show here. Do you want video where, maybe back to the restaurant, maybe you show a pizza coming out of the oven and you show it, the cheese bubbling and you show, and people can literally, because of our unconscious minds, we can smell that without even being in its presence, So you've got to get creative. You got to get creative. You got to really, really let the creativity flow and really push towards bigger goals. I mentioned, when I met with my buddy and he told me to pull my head out of my rear end and what I've discovered since then, because that was about 3 years ago or so, and I've been on Cardone University and I've met Grant and I've had conversations with him and people in his office and on his team, and what I've discovered is I didn't have goals big enough. My goals were absolute. If I had any goals, they were, survive. Just, and I don't, to this day, I don't believe that's a goal. That's surviving. That's it. My goal was to, just survive, just to get by. I didn't have a goal like I have today to build my company into a $100 million a year company that helps 500 million people across the entire planet by the end of 2017. That's my big goal right now, is I really, really, really want to make a significant impact in this world. And this is a great vehicle to be able to help businesses, because if I can help a doctor's office, a dentist's office, a plumber, an electrician, a florist, doesn't matter what the business is, if I can help you take your business to an exponentially high level by helping you develop the right brand, the right logo, leave the right impression with your customers, develop the right customer service skills. If I can help you, then that's going to help a lot of people that you touch, your employees, your customers, and it can literally spread like wildfire across the entire globe. So that's the way I see it today. Back 3 years ago, I wasn't seeing that. I was not seeing that. I was seeing like, hey, we need to borrow more toilet paper from your mom, stuff like that. It was crazy. It was just, stuff that it was all that survival mentality, and it's not today. It's not today at all. My mindset today is expansion, growth, helping as many freaking people as I can help in every single way that I can help them across my website, across all of our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of the stuff that's out there, Snapchat, just really reaching out and touching people across the entire planet. Periscope, I just did a Periscope right before we started shooting this. So, we have people that have come to us. We've got a phone company in Southern Ohio called Horizontel. They're Horizontel. We're going to throw up some graphics here on the screen, but Horizon, came to us. They needed a rebranding. They needed some logo work. They needed a website. They needed a lot of really cool stuff that we were able to do for them. We've had an eye doctor called the Lume Eye Care Center. We did the same thing, logo, website, helped with her overall branding. Bob Berg, who's an author. He wrote the book The Go-Giver, which is an international bestseller. You know, I actually reached out to Bob and helped him with some stuff and did some rebranding of stuff. So Bob, you know, came to us and said, you know, hey, we just looking at the logo and refreshing it and some stuff to make the website a little more exciting and dress it up. And you know, with the Horizon Phone Company, we did the 40-page brand guideline book with, you know, we did their business cards, their color palette, gave them, I mean, so we really help companies dig deep and really find out what it is that they want to accomplish. We help them go in and discover, you know, what's your target audience, where are you going, how far out are you going geographically. We look at all that stuff. So, you know, maybe you've had some discouraging times with branding your company or with you know, website development, search engine optimization, social media marketing and ads. You know, we do Facebook advertising for clients, and we also manage some social media accounts. And you know, maybe you've had a rough time. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe you just want to take what you have and grow it bigger. The number one thing that I've done as a business owner here at Client Solution Innovations is I've taken the blinders off. I've expanded my vision. We've gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and we've grown, and we've been able to help more and more people across the entire globe, actually. So, you know, don't let, I mean, most of us who've been in who've started a business, you know, I bootstrapped this entire thing. You know, the thing you cannot do is you're gonna get discouraged. It happens. It happens to everybody. You cannot be alive with blood flowing through your heart and your veins and not reach points in your life where you're discouraged. It's not possible. It's humanly impossible. You cannot own a business and feel that same discouragement and not feel that same discouragement. You're going to have it, you know, but you got to grab yourself by the boots, pull them up and go. You got to just keep grinding. You got to keep hustling, and you have to set higher targets. Take what you have, you know, Grant Cardone's book, The 10X Rule. Read that book if you haven't read it. Start applying that to every area of your life and your business. Start taking what you're thinking you can do and multiply that times 10. Because I promise you, you can do more. I don't care who you are, don't care where you're from, I don't care what race you are, I don't care what gender, male, female, or a combination of both. It doesn't matter. You can do more. I promise you can do more. You just don't have the right targets right now. So this, you know, do a reboot of your business. Do a reboot. Sit down, don't overanalyze it. Look at everything. Look at your website, your marketing, your logo, your business cards. Look at everything and say, okay, if I had a magic wand, and I could sprinkle millions of dollars across my brand, what would my brand look like? What would my website look like? What would my logo look like? What would my staff look like? What would the people that work for me look like? What would my clients or customers or patients, what would they look like? And really focus on what you want to accomplish instead of the mistakes, instead of the write-offs, instead of all of the problems. Focus on what you want to accomplish. Take one step at a time. One of my favorite quotes is, I have two two of them that came to mind. One is, how do you eat an elephant? There's only one way you can eat an elephant, and that's one bite at a time. Okay? So you take the first step, whatever that is to you. You take that first step. You start chunking away at it, okay? And the other thing is, there is no such thing as an original thought. All wisdom is plagiarized. Only stupidity is original. All of these brilliant ideas are floating around out here in the universe. They're ready for us to grab a hold of and take and implement them into our lives, okay? You need to say, okay, this is what I want to accomplish. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to attract into my business and have my business be, and my website and logo and brand and everything else. And then start taking actions. And if you can't figure it out on your own, hire a professional. Hire a professional. Get some trust into your life. You got to trust people, man. You got to trust people. I hired a sales trainer years ago, back, I don't know, five years ago maybe. I hired this. I'm not going to mention his name, but he's an international guy. I got on this program, and it was a monthly program that cost a lot of money. I was trying to revive my business back then, and the guy basically ripped me off, and I lost thousands of dollars. And so when I started looking at sales training again, a year and a half or so ago, when I found Grant Cardone, you know, I found him on, I'm not from the car business, so I'd never heard of him. And I found him on YouTube, and I started watching his videos. I'm like, man, this guy is intense, you know, wow, this guy might have something. And so I reached out to them, and they closed me on Cardone University. And it was the best thing that I could have ever done. But had I lived in that mindset of, well, I've already had one sales trainer screw me over, and probably others in the past, and you know, I can't trust anybody, and I've had that, I've been there, okay? But I stepped out in faith. I stepped out in faith, not just in Grant Cardone or anybody else, but faith in myself and faith in what my goals were. And I said, okay, I can trust this guy. I'm going to do it. And I signed a contract, a big contract, to hire Grant Cardone to have Cardone University sales training for me and my team. And it's the best thing that we ever did. And I'm telling you that whatever it is that's holding you back, whatever that trust issue is that you have, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Maybe you don't have that. Maybe everything's perfect in your world. But 99% of the business owners I talk to, or the business owners my salespeople talk to or meet with, 99+% of them have some sort of trust issue, okay, based on something that happened in the past. You got to let it go. You got to let it go. You got to focus on trusting your future, trusting what you can accomplish, and trusting your now, hopefully, you're thinking my way bigger goals than I've ever had in my life, okay? You have to have bigger goals. You have to have them. So that's it for today, this show. I just wanted to talk about how to inspire yourself to reboot your company, to reboot your life if you have to. You have to dig deep down inside, reboot everything, start creating, start really creating something big for yourself, for your family, for your spouse, for your kids, for your grandkids. You have to really dig deep and go big. I mean, go big. Why sit around and be small? It doesn't serve you, and it sure as hell doesn't serve the world in any way to sit around and be small. So be great, be humongous in everything that you do. And come back and visit us next week. I have no idea what we're going to talk about yet next week, but it's going to be fun. I promise you that. So I appreciate you being on here. Appreciate you watching DigiLead TV. I'm Ken Walls. I'm the CEO and the founder of Client Solution Innovations. You can reach me on my email. It's ken@clientsi.com. You can find me on Twitter. My handle on Twitter is CEO_CSI. You can also follow DigiLead TV and Client Solution Innovations, pardon me, on Twitter and on Facebook. So thank you. Really appreciate you being here. You guys be freaking awesome.